The Galactic Council's emergency session chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations packed the massive amphitheater, their varied forms creating a living tapestry of scales, feathers, and crystalline structures. At the center of the chamber, High Administrator Vexterra's iridescent membranes flickered with barely contained alarm as she addressed the assembly. "The humans have achieved faster-than-light travel," she announced, her translator converting her harmonic tones into the standard galactic frequency. The chamber erupted in a cacophony of sounds, clicks, whistles, and electromagnetic pulses expressing everything from disbelief to outright terror. Senior observer Kithtal raised his primary appendage, his crystalline form catching the chamber's soft light. Impossible. Their civilization was barely a Class II status when we last observed them. They hadn't even unified their planetary government. Nevertheless, Vexterra continued. Our long-range sensors detected their vessel emerging from what we initially thought was a spatial anomaly. The readings. She paused, her membranes pulsing a deep indigo of distress. The readings suggest they're creating localized quantum tunnels by deliberately inducing controlled stellar collapse events. The chamber fell silent. Even the typically argumentative hive mind collective ceased their perpetual background chatter. Science Director Drolmex floated forward, his gaseous form condensing with concern. "They're using artificial micro-black holes as a propulsion method. That's insanity. The energy requirements alone would be fulfilled by antimatter reactors," Vexterra interrupted. "They've somehow managed to stabilize antimatter production on an industrial scale." The hive mind collective's representative vibrated at a frequency that indicated extreme agitation. "This violates 17 different safety protocols established by the Council. Their method could potentially tear apart the fabric of space-time itself." Footage began playing above the chamber's central platform. A human vessel, surprisingly small compared to the massive ships preferred by Council races, approached what appeared to be empty space. Suddenly, a pinpoint of absolute darkness appeared before it, no larger than a grain of sand. The ship accelerated toward it, and in a flash of light that briefly outshone nearby stars, both disappeared. "Their success rate?" Kithtal asked, his crystalline form dimming with dread. 97%. Vexterra answered. "They consider this acceptable." Acceptable. The word echoed through the chamber in various forms of shocked expression. "What about the 3%? According to our intelligence." Vexterra's membranes shifted to a color indicating grim resignation. "They call those learning experiences." The footage continued, showing the human vessel emerging from another point in space, tens of light years from its origin. The ship's hull glowed with residual radiation, but otherwise appeared intact. "They're using technology that we specifically deemed too dangerous to pursue," Drolmex observed, his gaseous form swirling with agitation. The Council unanimously agreed that controlled singularity generation was too risky for any civilization to attempt. "The humans were never part of that agreement," Vexterra reminded them. "They weren't even aware of our existence when they developed this method." A new representative stepped forward, one whose species had joined the Council relatively recently. "Perhaps we should consider that our caution has become excessive. While the human method seems unorthodox, they have achieved what many thought impossible." Unorthodox. The hive mind collective pulsed with disapproval. "They're literally punching holes in space-time." "Precisely controlled holes," Vexterra corrected. "Their calculations are elegant in a terrifying sort of way. They've somehow managed to harness chaos itself, using the very instability of their method to their advantage." The chamber erupted in debate once again, but Vexterra raised all four of her primary appendages for silence. "We face an unprecedented situation. The humans have already begun expanding their exploration range. They've established colonies and systems we had deemed unreachable without generational ships. Their method, while dangerous by our standards, is effective. We must decide how to respond." Science Director Drolmex expanded thoughtfully. Perhaps we should study their technique rather than immediately condemning it. If they found a way to safely manage controlled singularities. Safely, the hive mind collective pulsed. They're accepting a 3% failure rate, which is better than the 100% failure rate we predicted, Kithtel noted. Our models clearly missed something fundamental about singularity manipulation. Vexterra's membranes shifted to the formal pattern of an official declaration. The Council must adapt to this development. I'm establishing an emergency committee to study human FTL technology and assess its implications for galactic travel. We need to understand not just their method, but their thinking. What other assumptions have we made that humans might challenge? As the representatives filed out of the chamber, their discussions filled with equal parts fear and fascination. Vexterra reviewed the footage one more time. The human ship, small and seemingly fragile, dancing on the edge of oblivion itself. Their species had looked into the abyss of space-time, and instead of retreating in fear, had found a way to use it as a highway. The High Administrator's membranes flickered with an emotion she hadn't experienced in centuries, hope tinged with terror. The galaxy was about to change, and humanity's reckless brilliance would be the catalyst. Dr. Sarah Chen stood before the Galactic Council's Scientific Advisory Board, her calm demeanor masking her amusement at their obvious discomfort. The holographic displays behind her showed the schematics of Earth's first successful FTL drive, nicknamed Einstein's Nightmare by the development team. You deliberately created a controlled singularity in Earth orbit. The Meraxian scientist's translator couldn't quite capture the mix of horror and fascination in his voice. Actually, our first successful test was conducted much closer to Earth's surface, Sarah corrected. We needed the planet's gravitational field to help stabilize the initial quantum framework. The room erupted in a chorus of translated exclamations. The Zordblaxian representative's crystalline form actually cracked slightly from stress. Let me explain how we arrived at this solution. Sarah continued, bringing up historical footage. When we discovered that conventional warp drive theory was fundamentally flawed, we had to think differently. Our species was facing numerous extinction-level threats: climate change, resource depletion, asteroid impact probabilities. We needed to expand beyond our solar system, and we needed to do it quickly. The footage showed the early experiments, including several spectacular failures that made the assembled aliens cringe. Yes, we lost some unmanned test vessels, Sarah acknowledged. But each failure taught us something crucial about quantum tunneling dynamics. But the energy requirements, began one of the alien scientists, were solved by necessity, Sarah interrupted. When you're facing extinction, you'd be amazed at how quickly funding appears for antimatter production facilities. She smiled. The breakthrough came when we stopped trying to bend space and instead decided to punch through it. New diagrams appeared, showing the complex mathematical models that describe the human FTL method. We discovered that by creating a precisely calibrated microsingularity and feeding it a controlled stream of exotic matter, we could essentially create a tunnel through space-time. The trick isn't creating the tunnel, it's surviving the journey through it. The alien scientists leaned forward, their various sensory organs fixed on the equations. Despite their horror at the method, they couldn't deny the elegance of the mathematics. The 3% failure rate you're all so concerned about. Sarah continued. Those aren't catastrophic failures. They're simply instances where the tunnel collapsed prematurely, forcing the ship to drop out of FTL early. Our ships are designed to survive even a worst-case scenario. But the risks, the Meraxian began, are calculated and accepted. Sarah finished. Humanity has a long history of accepting calculated risks to achieve the impossible. The first ocean voyages, the first powered flight, the first space launches, all had failure rates far higher than 3%. We learn, we adapt, and we keep pushing forward. She brought up footage of the latest human colonies, thriving settlements on worlds that the Council had deemed unreachable. This is what we've achieved in just 5 years since perfecting the drive. While your civilizations were still debating the safety protocols for conventional FTL research, we've established 17 extrasolar colonies. The Zorblaxian's crystalline form vibrated with concern. But you're violating fundamental laws of physics. Sarah laughed. No, we're exploiting them. The universe doesn't care about our preconceptions of what's possible or safe. It only cares about what works. A new hologram appeared, showing the latest generation of human FTL ships. They were sleek, compact, and bristling with safety systems. We've already improved the success rate to 98.5%, and we're working on ways to make the tunnel stable enough for larger vessels. We're not just surviving these journeys. We're mastering them. The Scientific Advisory Board fell into heated discussion, their various forms of communication creating a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and electromagnetic pulses. Sarah waited patiently, knowing that their entire worldview was being challenged. Finally, the head of the board, a being of pure energy contained within a complex mechanical shell, addressed her. Dr. Chen, your species has achieved something remarkable, if terrifying. Would humanity be willing to share this technology with the Council? That's why I'm here, Sarah replied. But there's something you need to understand first. This isn't just technology, it's a philosophy. You need to be willing to accept that the impossible is merely the improbable waiting to be solved. Are you ready for that? The board members looked at each other, their various forms expressing a mix of fear and excitement. They were beginning to understand that humanity hadn't just developed a new form of space travel, they'd brought a revolution to the galaxy. And this was just the beginning. The private chambers of the Galactic Council's inner circle hummed with tension. 7 of the most powerful beings in known space sat around a table crafted from transparent quantum crystal, each lost in thought after Dr. Chen's presentation. Ambassador Xylith of the Eternal Confluence broke the silence first, his photonic form flickering with agitation. We cannot simply ignore 10,000 years of established safety protocols. These humans are like children playing with supernovas. Children who have accomplished what we deemed impossible, countered Supreme Delegate Nivax, her serpentine form coiled elegantly in her gravity chair. While we spent millennia debating the theoretical risks of quantum tunneling, they simply did it. High Administrator Vexterra's membranes rippled thoughtfully. The latest reports are even more concerning. They're already adapting the technology for larger vessels. Their new colony ships can transport up to 10,000 humans at once. That's precisely the problem. Phylith pulsed brightly. Their rate of expansion is unprecedented. At their current pace, they'll have 100 colonies within a decade. The balance of power in the galaxy was stagnant, interrupted Kithtel, his crystalline form resonating with each word. Perhaps that's exactly what we needed. A species brave enough, or foolish enough, to challenge our assumptions. The hive mind collective's representative vibrated at a frequency that indicated deep distress. Our simulations show a 60% probability that their method will eventually create an uncontrolled cascade of spatial ruptures. The entire arm of the galaxy could be destabilized. Those same simulations said the method was impossible in the first place, Nivax pointed out. Clearly, our understanding is flawed. Security Director Mazra, attending via quantum hologram from the Council's military headquarters, projected an image above the table. It showed human ships emerging from their quantum tunnels in perfect formation, a feat that should have been impossible given the chaotic nature of their travel method. They're not just surviving these jumps, Mazra noted, her holographic form shimmering. They're mastering them. Our analysts report they can now predict and control their exit points with accuracy comparable to our own FTL methods. And their ships, Nivax added, bringing up another hologram. Notice how small they are compared to ours. Their entire drive system fits in a space we use for auxiliary power storage. The efficiency is remarkable. Xylith's photonic form dimmed slightly. That's what terrifies me. If they can achieve this with their limited resources and technology, what else might they accomplish? What other impossible barriers might they break? Perhaps that's exactly why we need them, Kithtel suggested. Our civilization has grown too cautious, too set in our ways. When was the last time any of us truly innovated? The room fell silent again as the implications sank in. The Galactic Council had maintained peace and stability for millennia by carefully controlling technological development, ensuring that all advances were thoroughly tested and proven safe before implementation. The humans had just shattered that paradigm. "We have three options," Vexterra finally said, her membranes shifting to formal patterns. "We can try to suppress their technology, though I doubt we'd succeed. We can isolate them, though that would mean losing access to their innovations. Or we can embrace this change and try to guide it." Guide it? The Hive Mind Collective pulsed skeptically. They don't seem interested in being guided. They didn't even wait for our approval before spreading across their sector. "Then perhaps we need to change our approach," Nivax suggested. "Instead of trying to control them, we could learn from them. Their reckless brilliance might be exactly what our civilization needs." Security Director Mazra's hologram flickered thoughtfully. "There's another factor to consider. Several younger species have already expressed interest in the human method. If we don't take a proactive stance, we might face multiple species developing their own versions of this technology, without any oversight at all. So we're choosing between controlled chaos and uncontrolled chaos," Tyleth observed dryly. "I prefer to think of it as evolution," Kithtel said. "For too long, we've prioritized stability over progress. The humans have shown us there's another way." High Administrator Vexterra raised her appendages for attention. "I'm calling for a vote. Do we formally recognize and support human FTL technology, with all the changes that will bring to our society?" One by one, the members of the inner circle indicated their positions. The vote was not unanimous. Such votes rarely were, but the outcome was clear. The galaxy was about to change, and the Council would change with it. As the chamber emptied, Vexterra remained, watching the holographic displays of human ships dancing through their quantum tunnels. They looked so fragile, yet they carried within them the seeds of a revolution that would reshape galactic civilization. Whether that new data streamed in, showing human ships working in concert with local authorities, coordinating evacuation efforts with an efficiency that surprised the Council members. The humans had somehow adapted their seemingly chaotic technology into a precise rescue operation. "We need more ships," Sarah continued. "We have the technology, but not the numbers to evacuate everyone in time. If the Council could provide vessels, we could retrofit them with our drive systems. Retrofit Council ships with human technology." Tyleth's form dimmed with shock. "That's unprecedented." "So does losing 18 billion lives," Nivax countered. She turned to Vexterra. "High Administrator, I move that we immediately authorize full cooperation with human evacuation efforts." The vote was quick, and for the first time in recent memory, unanimous. Within hours, Council shipyards across the galaxy were receiving encrypted transmissions containing human FTL specifications. Sarah watched as the Council members mobilized their vast resources, finally moving with the urgency the situation demanded. "There's something else you should know," she said quietly to Vexterra. "Our scientists think we might be able to collapse the anomaly using a coordinated series of quantum tunnels. It's risky, but humans specialize in turning risks into opportunities," Vexterra finished, her membranes showing a pattern that translated as wry acceptance. "Tell me more." As the crisis unfolded, the galaxy watched as human ingenuity and Council resources combined to face an unprecedented threat. The lines between reckless and bold, between impossible and essential, began to blur. The evacuation of the Centauri cluster would become known as the greatest rescue operation in galactic history, and the moment when humanity proved that sometimes the craziest solution is the only one that works. 1 year after the Centauri cluster evacuation, the Galactic Council's Grand Chamber hosted a very different kind of meeting. The tension that had once filled these halls had been replaced by an atmosphere of cautious optimism. Dr. Sarah Chen stood beside High Administrator Vexterra at the central podium, surrounded by holographic displays showing the latest breakthrough in faster-than-light travel. Representatives from every spacefaring species leaned forward in their seats, their attention fixed on the presentation. By combining the stability of traditional Council warp technology with human quantum tunneling principles, Sarah explained, we've created something entirely new. She gestured, and a new hologram appeared, a ship unlike anything the galaxy had seen before. The Horizon-class vessel, Vexterra announced, her membranes glowing with pride. The first true hybrid of human and Council technology. The ship's design was elegant yet unconventional. Its hull incorporated crystalline matrices developed by the Zorblaxians, powered by human antimatter reactors. The drive system merged quantum tunneling technology with traditional warp fields, creating what the development team had dubbed a stable quantum corridor. Initial tests have shown a success rate of 99.9%. Sarah continued, the energy efficiency is 300% better than either technology alone, and the effective range is, she paused for effect, unlimited. The chamber erupted in excited discussion. Even the traditionally cautious hive mind collective vibrated with approval. But the real breakthrough, Sarah added, bringing up new data, is what we discovered about space-time itself. The dark space anomaly taught us something crucial. The universe is more resilient than we thought. It's not about avoiding disruption. It's about working with the natural flexibility of space-time. Science Director Zrolmex floated forward, his gaseous form swirling with excitement. The quantum corridors actually strengthen the fabric of space-time as they pass through it. Each journey leaves behind a network of stabilized pathways that other ships can follow. We're not just traveling through space anymore, Sarah explained. We're building highways across the galaxy, permanent routes that become more stable with use. The more we travel, the safer and more efficient these pathways become. The implications weren't lost on anyone in the chamber. This wasn't just a new form of propulsion. It was a way to reshape the galaxy itself, creating a network of safe, stable travel routes that would unite civilizations like never before. Security Director Mazra's hologram appeared. The first fleet of Horizon-class ships will begin service next month. Their primary mission will be establishing these quantum highways between major systems. Within 5 years, we expect to have a network connecting every Council world. And the best part, Nivax added, her serpentine form moving with enthusiasm, is that this is just the beginning. The human approach to problem-solving, combined with Council resources and wisdom, has opened up possibilities we never imagined. Vexterra raised her appendages for attention. This project represents more than technological advancement. It represents the power of cooperation, of combining different perspectives and approaches. The humans taught us to be bold. We taught them to be thorough. Together, we've achieved something greater than either of us could have managed alone. Sarah nodded in agreement. A year ago, many of you thought humans were reckless, that our methods were too dangerous. We thought the Council was too cautious, too bound by tradition. We were both right, and we were both wrong. The true path forward lay in finding balance between innovation and wisdom. The chamber filled with appreciative murmurs as the implications sank in. The galaxy was entering a new age, one where the impossible was merely a challenge waiting to be overcome, and where the combined strengths of all species would forge a path to the future. As the session concluded, Sarah found herself looking out at the stars through the chamber's transparent dome. Somewhere out there, the first Horizon-class ships were preparing for their maiden voyages, carrying with them the dreams and aspirations of countless beings, ready to make history again. Vexterra asked, her membranes showing a pattern that Sarah had learned meant friendship. Always, Sarah replied with a smile. After all, there's still so much impossible left to do. The stars seemed to twinkle in agreement, as if welcoming this new chapter in galactic history. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun.